Michael Heise. Michael Heise with the Chester County Ron Paul Group, correct?
Yep.
All right, we're here today to interview you about an altercation with the police officers in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Please explain the story of how it happened start to finish.
Okay, well, it was very early in the morning of July 3rd, about somewhere between 2 and 2:30. I couldn't tell you the exact time. But me and a group of about 5 or 6 friends had just walked out of a bar on High Street, and we were going to walk across the street because me, my friend Jamal, and my other friend Devin were going to walk across the street to meet with a mutual friend named Ange. My friend Devin had a little too much to drink. He ended up pushing somebody once we crossed the street, but my friend Jamal had grabbed him. I got in between them and the guy that was pushed. I apologized to the guy that was pushed. I explained that we're leaving, that he had too much to drink. The guy was fine with it. The situation was diffused. And there was 2 cops there that saw it. And the cops, Jamal had gone over to the cops and said, I apologize, let me just walk him home. He's had too much to drink. Let me just get him home. And they said, yeah, fine, just go home, just get out of here. So we start walking down High Street. And we make it, and the whole time we're walking, Devin is kind of loud yelling, and eventually he falls down. We make it, I would say, about a block. So we start to pick him up, and the whole time I was explaining to him, you got to calm down, so you're going to draw police attention. And we start to pick him up, and I was like, yeah, we have to pick him up because the cops are coming. I saw about 4 cops coming. I learned from somebody who had a different angle from me that there was 8. And they just came down. There was no freeze. There was no, let me see your ID, or everybody stop what you're doing. No attempt to talk to us or anything. They just started spraying people. And I learned the next day that my friend Jamal had gotten sprayed, and he ran right after he got sprayed and across the street to another cop and was pleading with him. You said we could walk away. And the cop said, yeah, just go. Just get out of here. Run. And so he ran away, and they let him go. And then another friend that I was with, named Reem, actually did run away. I don't think he ever got maced. I haven't talked to him since, but he actually did run away, and they never went for him. So this was not like they're stopping crime. Anyway, so from my perspective, they start macing. I said, what's going on? I know my rights. And they just maced me in the face and threw me to the ground and handcuffed me while I'm on my belly. And the burn was amazing, I would say. Like, I couldn't see, I couldn't breathe, I was choking. And so once I could start to talk again, I'd say, officer, under common law, what am I being detained for? And instead of answering me in any way, he put his knee on the back of my head and pushed down and grinded my face into the ground. And after which I yelled, I said, you know what, I'm being submissive, I'm not resisting, I have no plans to resist. And at this point I'm still choking, I'm having mucus come out of my face, and I even had to explain to them, once the cop got off of me, I'm building up mucus on the ground. I said, I'm not resisting, I'm squirming away from my mucus, and I'm yelling all that out. And eventually I'm thrown into a car. Now this happened to 4 people that were taken away. My friend Dan got maced and detained, friend Rob got maced and detained, and Devin got maced and detained. So I go in the car and I'm sitting there, and the guy starts driving. I'm not even sure if this was my arresting officer or not, but I said, what am I being detained for? And he said, you'll find out. And I said, well, what about, what am I being detained for? And the next thing I said is, who was my arresting officer? And he said, not me. And I said, what about my rights? Nobody ever read me my rights. And he said, you don't know your rights. And I said, dude, the Constitution grants us unalienable rights by our Creator. I know my rights. And then he just straight up said, there is no such thing as the Constitution. And then I got very angry and insulted him and called him un-American. And at that point, we get to the police station. They get me out of the car and they put me in, I'm gonna guess, some kind of briefing room or something, where they just helped themselves to what was in my pockets. And now keep in mind, I was never given a charge, never read my rights, never claimed there was any reasonable doubt, never given a breathalyzer, field sobriety, never asked about my medical history, which is pretty important considering I have chronic asthma through my history, and I've heard cases of people dying from pepper spray from adverse reactions with asthma. They didn't offer me any help, so when I got there, they took everything out of my pocket, threw me in a cell, and at this point I was irate. I started yelling about my rights and what the Constitution says, and I actually did rile up some of my friends, and once that started happening, and my friends started yelling, "I want my rights! I want my rights!" And the cops came in and said, "If you, meaning me, if he doesn't shut up, you are going to be detained longer." So, and I feel that's a violation of my First Amendment rights. I mean, police telling you I can't talk. So, and then eventually they moved me from a cell where I was with somebody and put me in a cell by myself. And I even commented, "Oh, someone's talking about the Constitution, you got to put him in solitary." They just didn't respond. So, I was in jail. Well, we were all in jail for about 4 hours, and then I saw that Dan and Rob were allowed to leave. And I learned the next day that Jamal came back and asked to get all of us. And they told, "Well, we'll give you Rob, he's fine, we'll check Dan to see if he's drunk, and we're not giving you Heise. Heise is here for the night." And the only reason I can think of is because I was yelling about my rights and yelling about the Constitution. I was there for about 8 hours. I mean, by my guess, I arrived at the jail probably around 2:30 and I got out at about 10, so 7.5 to 8 hours. And so finally, when a cop comes and teases us about staying at the Westchester Hotel for the night, I asked him what time it was, and he said it was 9:30. And then another cop comes in to give a breathalyzer to somebody else in a different cell. And I said, "Yo, what about me?" And he was like, "Well, when's the last time you were checked?" I said, I never was checked." And he was like, "Well, do you want a breathalyzer?" I was like, "Yes, I want a breathalyzer." And then he tried to scare me. He said, "Well," and then, now keep in mind, this is about 9:30 in the morning. He said, "If you fail this breathalyzer, you're going to be here until late tonight. Do you still want a breathalyzer?" I said, "I am not drunk. Yes, I want a breathalyzer." So he gave me the breathalyzer, and I blew a .022. That's like mouthwash, I think. Right? And so they take me out, and he hands me a paper and says, "I need you to sign this." So I take the paper, I start to read it. I couldn't even tell you what was on this paper. I started reading it for about 3 seconds, and he says, "Are you going to comply, or do you want to go back in the jail cell?" And I said, and I asked him, I said, are you telling me that I cannot read what you want me to sign?" And so he just kind of snatched the paper and accused me of still being drunk. And told me to put my shoes back on, and he gave me my stuff, and I signed my release form. They took my thumbprint, and he gave me my ticket, and then I left. So I look at the ticket, and it says, "Defendant did engage in fighting, and did engage in tumultuous behavior," and some word that I can't read, because he misspelled it, I think, offensive physical condition. What I think is by offensive physical condition, they were trying to say I'm drunk, which, like I said, they never gave me a field sobriety or anything. Tumultuous behavior, I mean, we were walking down the street and fighting. Not only was I not fighting anybody, but there was no fight between anybody. There was no fight. So I'm irate over this. And at that point, I called they let me out of jail. I called my dad, and we went to the hospital to document everything that was on my body.
Okay, so here's the second question. What do you plan on doing about this?
Well, on top of getting a lawyer and a lawsuit, we've already contacted, the DA's office, the mayor's office, but I personally am going to go to Westchester and speak my mind and practice my rights through protest. And I'm going to bring everybody that was victimized by these cops and daily local news at least, and let it be known what these cops are doing, because I'm willing to bet that these cops do this every week to drunk people down there, because it is a party town who either don't remember or aren't informed about their rights, and I think it's an outrage. And I think that any cop that swears an oath to the Constitution to turn around and tell me that there is no such thing as the Constitution should be stripped of his badge. I mean, if you can't respect the baseline laws of the Constitution and base human respect of attacking somebody, then you do not deserve to be a police officer. And I'm highly offended, and I find it disgusting, and I will protest until a criminal investigation is launched on at least the arresting officer.
Okay. So I guess you're gonna update us on the time to meet you there?
Yeah, we're not sure. I mean, we're still getting all of our eggs in a basket as far as signs and media and people and things like that. But it will be soon. It will be soon.
Do you have the arresting officer's name, badge number, or?
It has his name on the ticket. I couldn't read it. Go figure. But his badge number is 0176, and the police department's phone number is 610-696-2700.
Okay.
So if anybody can call and complain and tell them that you think corrupt cops saying there is no such thing as the Constitution is highly offensive to you as an American citizen, we greatly appreciate it.
Okay.